Good morning. I've got your energy stories for the first week of July 2021. Let's start with some bad news. In Illinois, nearly 100 tons of illegally stored lithium-ion batteries caught fire in a town of Morris, causing the need for local evacuations of 1,000 homes. The local fire department was pressed to try some new tricks because water wasn't going to do the job in extinguishing the blaze. So first they tried this dry chemical called Purple K. And as one of the firefighters said, we brought over 1,000 pounds of Purple K and we introduced that to the fire, hoping we could kill it and choke it out. The lithium fire laughed at Purple K, didn't put a dent in it. Ultimately, they enlisted a local concrete company to pump 28 tons of dry cement to cover a trouble spot of burning batteries about 3 feet deep, covering an area of about 30 by 40 feet. This was not a stationary energy storage project, but nonetheless points to the risk of storing batteries and handling batteries, which we need to pay attention to in the future. And now some more bad news. Almost 100 people in Oregon apparently died as a result of that recent heat wave, and Oregon's governor noted that communities of color and low-income families were disproportionately impacted. Meanwhile, British Columbia's chief coroner said that 719 sudden and unexpected deaths occurred during the heat wave, 3 times more than would normally occur during the same period. In the Pacific Northwest, rolling blackouts cut electricity to tens of thousands in Spokane, Washington, mostly because of strains on specific equipment that couldn't handle the blistering temps. Utility officials said that with the danger of explosions and problems detected at 4 substation transformers, they had to continue to rotate outages in those areas. That's the new world utility officials may have to prepare for. And then some aggressive policy news. Oregon lawmakers last week passed legislation requiring the state's largest utilities, Portland General Electric and Pacific Power, to fully decarbonize their grids by 2040, with targets of 80% emissions reductions by 2030 and 90% by 2035. House Bill 2021 now has one of the most aggressive state decarbonization targets in the West. California and Washington State are at zero carbon by 2045. Same thing with Hawaii offshore. This does them one better. In the world of hydrogen, Shell announced last week it had started up its first 10-megawatt green hydrogen plant using electrolyzers and plans to expand that to 100 megawatts by the time that project's done. This plant is at Shell's Energy and Chemicals Park Rhineland, and it's part of the Refine European Consortium, which is backed by the European Commission. In the electric vehicle world, analyst Wood Mackenzie commented EV sales in Q1 soared to 550,000, a 66% over last year. Overall EV market share jumped from 2.9 to 4.5% year over year, with Tesla continuing to take the lead with just over 500,000 vehicles sold and GM and VW fighting for second place. These numbers may well increase, especially in Canada, since its government just set binding targets that will require only zero-emissions passenger cars and light trucks to be sold as of 2035, advancing the previous target by 5 years. Now let's talk about wind. Onshore turbines keep getting bigger. Vestas announced last week that it had upgraded its 6.0 megawatt turbine now to 6.2 megawatts and increasing annual output by 1.5%. This power boost was enabled by, quote, advancements in load assessment and minor hardware upgrades. Offshore, the U.S. Bureau of Ocean Energy Management had a very busy week, kicking off its review of a potential 3.0 gigawatt project about 23 miles off of Virginia, which includes 3 substations and 1 land-based interconnection. The BOEM also indicated it was advancing the environmental review process for Vineyard Wind's South offshore project with an expected capacity of between 2 to 2.3 gigawatts off of Massachusetts. This project will be built in phases, with the initial element being the 804 megawatt Park City Wind project that actually has a power purchase agreement already with the Connecticut Public Utilities Regulatory Authority. This endeavor may have between 2 and 5 offshore substations and as many as 5 export cables that will link into Cape Cod in up to 3 onshore locations. And that wasn't the only big offshore news last week. New Jersey announced 2 winning tenders awarded to Ørsted for its planned 1,148 megawatt Ocean Wind 2 farm and to a consortium of Shell and EDF, which plans to construct the 1,510 megawatt Atlantic Shores wind farm. Well, that's all for this week. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you again next week.